Hey, Trojan family, what is going on? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Thank you, as always, for making this a part of your day. Thank you, everyone that tuned in last night right after the game, during a thrilling Dodgers game. And if you still jumped on with myself and Tim, as we kind of gave our instant reaction to a USC Trojans victory, 21-17 over Nebraska. Yeah, it took some of your calls, so it was a great show. So thank you all that tuned in. But wanted to jump on here now that the dust has settled a little bit, kind of give my reaction fully to kind of what I thought from this game, what I think about this program moving forward. Now, obviously, ugly game, right? Offensively, probably the worst offensive game we've seen from this team overall over the course of 4 quarters. Obviously, for sure, in that first half. The passing game overall was basically anemic. However, they did what they had to do to get the job done. And I think that was the encouraging sign of when it mattered most, they were able to make the plays. Obviously, much more in the running game, but even in the passing game when they absolutely had to have it to get it done. So, kudos to them. We'll talk about the first half and kind of what they did there. And then defensively, you give up those 14 points in the first half, basically 2 really bad drives. Outside of that, the defense played really well. Now, Nebraska loses their starting quarterback in the middle of the third quarter, and in comes in a true freshman. And obviously that changes the offensive game plan for Nebraska, but you play who you play, and the defense was able to shut down. So for anyone out there saying well, if he would have not got injured, I don't see him winning this game. We can say that about every sporting event ever. If this didn't happen, then this wouldn't happen. But guess what? It happened, and how do you respond to it? So I don't take anything away from this victory. It's a Big Ten road win in a very good environment, hostile environment. Probably in my opinion, one of the harder places to play in college football when you just look at the history and the passion of the Nebraska Cornhusker fan base. So it looked like an incredible environment, and the USC Trojans responded, and they were able to quiet the crowd and quiet the noise in game and get the job done. So on the surface, just from the top, love it. You take any win you can get. Now, obviously, there was a lot of issues in this game, specifically in that first half. And I think what a lot of frustration for people is coming off a bye to kind of look that flat is concerning, right? You come off the bye, you go 3 and out on offense, with a very strange kind of third down formation. On defense, then you let them go right down the field. What was it, a 15-play drive? Just kind of no big plays, but just death by 1,000 paper cuts, go right down the field, end up getting a touchdown to go up 7-0. So that's not good, right? There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to defend it. Coming off a bye, that is concerning. But I think the positives you take from is okay, clearly this program is moving in the right direction because in years past, they wouldn't have won this football game. Maybe even in weeks past, they wouldn't have won this football game. But they did. So, A, they won the game, and B, the way in which they won, and I said this on the stream last night, was a completely different way that we've seen this team win in the Lincoln Riley era. It started against Michigan, how they were able to run the football, defensively played really stout, but that was a game that outside of some red zone turnovers, 2 of them, they really played flawless. They didn't face adversity. They go up 7-0, defense stops them. They go drive again, then Lake McCree has that fumble in the red zone. That was really the only adversity they had. And, Michigan then ends up bringing it closer, but then after that, they just pulled away. So I'm not taking anything away. That was a fantastic win, but you're at home. You don't face a ton of adversity. This game last night faced a ton of adversity, and this team didn't flinch. And some of that, I know people don't want to do it, but some of that you do credit to coaching. Because when you're up against it and things are not going your way, you're not playing to your best ability, and you don't flinch, and you figure out a way to grind it out, that's a full collective effort. Now, I think for many of you out there would say like, yeah, but we should have won this game handily. Like first you lose your quarterback and then, offensively, yeah, I get that. And they probably should have. I do think USC is a more talented program right now and a better team, but at the end of the day, you get the win. And I think when you look nationally, which I think USC has gotten probably fair respect nationally. I'm not talking about the AP poll, which we'll get to before we wrap this up, but I think just national pundits and when you go on social media, I think they've been pretty fairly looked at as a team that say they're a good football team. We just don't quite know what they're going to look like on the road, but overall, I think most people believe USC is trending the right way. If you look last night, like everyone was like, this is a great win, great Big Ten win, fantastic win for Lincoln Riley and USC's resume. So, as fans, and this is not just USC fans, this is fan of any, not just college football program, a fan of any team, like you expect your team to dominate every single week. I get that. And that's the hope, obviously, to get to that. But even some of the really good teams out there don't dominate every single week, especially on the road. And, I said this last night, but I grew up playing hockey. And, everyone wants those highlight Michigan goals. For those who know the Michigan, it's like a lacrosse goal. Almost you pick the puck up on your stick and throw it over your shoulder. But everyone wants the snipe shot from the point or the amazing deke that takes the goalie out of his skates. But sometimes you need those just dirty goals in front, which we call greasy goals. You just need those greasy goals, and guess what? They count the same. Doesn't matter how they look. They count the same. This was a greasy win for USC, and it counts just the same. And kind of as I was saying, I think it was almost more meaningful because it's a way they haven't done it before. 9 completions for Jaden Maiava. I'm never going to tear down, these young men, but Jaden Maiava did not have a very good game last night through the air. Just was inaccurate, his timing was off, didn't look super confident, just for whatever reason, and credit to Nebraska. I mean, they were the second-ranked pass defense. Now, I think that was a little inflated because of who they had played, but they showed they're actually pretty dang good against the pass. I mean, what they were able to do, and obviously which we'll get to, but schematically, like they were daring USC to run and basically dropping everyone back to pass, playing that 3-3-5 that they basically played the entire game. So that's going to obviously make passing lanes a lot tighter, and guys just aren't going to be as open as we've seen this offense able to formulate so far through the season. So credit to Nebraska, but even when guys had windows, Maiava just wasn't hitting him. He was either throwing it high. We saw some of Jacoby go high, throwing it low, throwing it behind. Obviously, the really bad interception was just a really poor decision. And then even the receiving core really wasn't helping him out. I mean, Jacoby had a couple that, you're used to him hauling in. Mekhi Lemon never drops a pass, and he dropped one that hit him right in the hands. So I think Jaden Richardson had, I wouldn't even call it a drop. It was a really good defensive play. The one deep pass, not on the trick play, but the one deep pass that Maiava did throw a dime right in the breadbasket. Landed right here for Richardson, but then credit to the defender, like really was able to get his hand lodged in there. So I don't put that on Richardson. I think that was just a great defensive play, but receivers were not totally in sync as well. The tight ends were not involved in the passing game at all. I think Lake McCree, he had, 2 catches, I think. And Walker Lyons did not have any. Yeah, Lake McCree, 2 catches for 11 yards. So, 9 completions, and you win the football game. 9 completions for 135 yards and a pick, no touchdowns, and you win the football game. Like, this is the kind of greasy win that I think this fan base should be actually really excited. I think a lot of you are. And I think now maybe once the dust settles, more of you even will be. I know last night there was just frustration because of really the first half, how abysmal it looked. But this is the kind of win that you should actually get excited about because it's something that this team has never done. Passing game was not working. Running game looked fantastic. I know everyone was upset about the play calling. In that second half, they did run the ball a lot. Total plays, 23 pass attempts, 38 rush attempts. So they certainly did lean on the run. Now, I know there were instances, specifically in the first half, specifically on that one drive where they used the run to get all the way down there and then do 3 straight passing plays. Yeah, I get that. That is, mind-blowing of that. But throughout the game, they did commit a lot more to the run. And it paid dividends, obviously. And some of that through the run was with Jade Mayava and his legs. He finished with 11 carries, 62 yards in the touchdown. And I've said this before. I think it depends. I've heard other people dispute it, not to me specifically, but just in general. I think it depends how you define mobile. Like, I think Jade Mayava is absolutely a mobile quarterback. I wouldn't call him a dual threat quarterback. Like, you're not, like, fearing his legs, but I think he's absolutely mobile. It just depends, I guess, how you define mobile. To me, it's someone that can still beat you with his legs, that you have to honor, that can absolutely extend plays with his legs, and is not just a statue in the pocket. That's how I define mobile. Like, you look at Peyton Manning, that's not a mobile quarterback. Tom Brady, that's not a mobile quarterback. Jade Mayava can escape and elude pressure in the pocket, extend it, and then we saw finally him actually use those legs to get first downs and a touchdown. So that was something we haven't seen this program do since Caleb Williams, the quarterback using their legs to really burn you. The offensive line. By far and away, I mean, you could look at the Michigan game also. Best offensive line we've seen in the Lincoln Riley era last night. Incredible performance from this offensive line. And you have Elijah Page in his first game back after missing multiple games due to injury. You lose Alani Noah early on. We don't know the exact injury. I don't like to speculate injuries, but we're guessing concussion protocol because basically just took helmet to helmet. You're still playing technically your backup center. I think John Reed has really developed nicely, and we see him much better in the system now that he fully is integrated, understands. But you lose Noah. You put in a walk-on in Miller, King Miller's brother. And I think this offensive line was just dominant. I mean, let's just say it, because everyone loves calling this team soft. Like, they bullied Nebraska's front seven. 100%. They were getting the push they were getting, the amount of counters that Lincoln Riley ran, and King was just seeing those gaps. The vision that King Miller has, I think, is so impressive and underrated. But credit to Kalen Miller. I mean, credit to the entire offensive line. Justin Tanow, all of them. Getting Tobias Raymond back at left guard looked fantastic. And then this is where I want to give a lot of flowers to the tight ends in both Lake McCree and Walker Lyons. While they were not involved in this game in the pass game, dominant blocking. I mean, I could put some clips up, but some of these counters and seeing both tight ends at the second level, that when you get tight ends doing that, that's why runs go for 10 and 11 yards instead of 4 and 5. Because when you can get to that second level, stop the linebackers or crashing down safety with your two tight ends, and with King's vision and is he able to crease through there, that's where you're able to get those 10, 11. I mean, it was just every run was like 9 yards, 11 yards, 12 yards. Didn't fully break through on one, but that's what like takes the soul out of a team when you're giving up. And the interesting thing with Nebraska, Matt Rule talked about, he said it during the pregame interview. Like, we know this offense in Lincoln Riley loves to run counter. We got to stop the run, stop them running counter, make it ineffective. But yet defensively, they never adjusted. They ran the 3-3-5, begging USC to run, saying, we are not letting you beat us over the top. We're not letting you beat us through the air. And they did a damn good job of that, obviously. But they never adjusted to actually stop the run. And even though they said, we need to stop the counter, we know this is a really good counter football team. We know Lincoln Riley, while the public perception, he likes to air it out, he actually likes to run the football. But then they just begged him all game to run the football. And in the first half, it kind of worked because there were moments that Lincoln Riley abandoned it. I would not abandon it, but didn't lean on it. But then in the second half, the running game absolutely was the focal point. 100% was the focal point. And so you got to give credit to that. I mean, coming in with some really good drives. I would have loved to seen them get that game-sealing drive at the end and not force the defense to have to make a stop, which we'll get to. But overall, the passing game is going to be okay, right? There was some red flags, but overall, we know it's going to be okay. Mayava just had an off game. The receiving core looked like they just had an off game. I'm not blaming the cold either. Trust me. And I'm not saying it's to be a tough guy, but I grew up in Colorado, played high school football. You would much rather play in 30s than in 90s. Now, when you get down to the teens and underneath 10, then that's a different story. Then you nick your finger on a helmet and feel like your hand's going to fall off. But 34, 35, 38 degrees, like you'd rather play in that than the 90s. Because run route, the adrenaline's going, you're warm, you're fine. So I don't think the cold was an issue. I think it was just like an off game. Just a weird, kind of weird passing game. Which you're going to have those sometimes. Even some of the best quarterbacks of all time have had those. It's just obviously amplified in college a lot more, especially if you lose, but they were able to get a win aside from that. Defensively, I don't want to say this has been the best defensive performance under Dan Lin just because Nebraska's offense was, a little bit lost, especially after losing Dylan Raiola. But to me, it really is up there because of what has happened and what has transpired to this defense throughout this season. Specifically, just 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame. Now, Emmett Johnson still had a good game. I mean, let's not pretend that he wasn't, still really, really good in this game. But USC did a much better job about not giving them anything easy. Like, they weren't able to shut them down, but they limited the explosives. I mean, there was no big explosives, right? There was a couple like mediocre, 10 plus, I guess, gains, but nothing that we saw against Notre Dame. Nothing broke open. So that's one step, right? Cut those out. And then it just was forcing them to gain every single yard, not giving them anything. They were much more gap sound. The linebackers were much more gap efficient and gap integral. I'm not saying the right word there, but they were good in their gaps a lot better. I mean, Nebraska had 40 carries. They finished with 188 yards. So, I mean, it's still a good game rushing for Nebraska. I'm not saying USC shut them down, but it took them 40 carries to get to that. Emmett Johnson, 29 carries for 165 yards. So they made it more difficult, which is what you want to see. Like, you want to still get more dominant in that area. Not saying the job's finished and anyone should be satisfied with that, but that is massive improvement compared to what we saw against Notre Dame. Massive improvement. And specifically in the second half, much more improvement. Now, obviously, when you have now a true freshman quarterback come in for the injured Raiola, and you kind of have to become one-dimensional, that makes it easier on your defense knowing that. But we saw last year against Michigan when they, threw the ball 12 times and they still couldn't fully shut down the run. So there is some improvements there, for sure. Two guys on defense. I think there was a lot of players we could talk about that played well. Love seeing Carlin Jones get out there. Hopefully we start seeing him more. I think that big body in the middle, his youth, is someone that USC can start to lean on more. He was my sleeper going into this year, was Carlin Jones. We haven't seen him much, but we did see him in a couple possessions here. I think, you could look a lot at the defensive line. I think Devin Tompkins, another solid game. Keyshawn Silver had some nice plays in there. Obviously, Eric Gentry, always great. Kamari Ramsey, I think, had a really good game. But the two guys I want to highlight, linebacker Desmond Stevens, because he's been getting a lot of criticism, and, rightfully so in some instances. As the starting Mike linebacker, he has not been up to what we expected him to be heading into this year. Definitely some growing pains. You have a new, first time starting. You do have a new position coach that's going to coach you a little differently than what Bad Ants was last year. I mean, that is a change. That is an adjustment. But looked way better in this game. Finished with 10 total tackles. Was less hesitant. Saw him crashing to the football a lot more. Make some really key tackles. To a guy that's really hard to tackle, Emmett Johnson. And, there was some, I wouldn't say straight misses, but some where, Emmett Johnson ended up getting an extra 2-3 yards when Stevens was on him, but overall was able to bring him down every time. So I just thought a massive improvement game from Desmond Stevens, and really got me excited about what we thought he could be. It's not there yet, but it was a glimmer of what we were expecting him to be, and he's a step in the right direction. And the other guy, Marcellus Williams. Thought he had a fantastic game. Fantastic game. Even the one the PI got called for, I think, based on the way Big Ten has called PI, I did not think that was PI. The Big Ten officials let you play pretty aggressive out on the boundary. And, I thought it shouldn't have been called, but either way, still had a fantastic game. Like, people forget, and this is not just directed at fans, this is like color everyone, that he's a redshirt freshman. It's not like this is a junior or a senior. Like, he has gotten better each and every week, which is what you want to see. That's what you call development. From a coaching aspect and from a player development aspect, he has gotten better each and every week, getting more comfortable in the system, having more trust. They're having more trust in him. So another really, really good game by him, and you're seeing some of the benefit from the secondary coaching that we questioned some because the secondary hadn't looked up to snuff. I think it was just the developmental stage has taken a little bit longer. So we'll see where this team goes from here now. Obviously, 2 straight home games, not going to be easy. Friday Night Lights with Northwestern, who's a much better football team than anyone expected. I think they were on a bye last night, but 5-3. Barely lost to Nebraska last week. And then a really solid Iowa team. Now, we'll get to that later. Iowa, to me, is a very different football team at home and on the road. Like, if we had to go to Iowa and play, that would be one like, oh, man, that's going to be a tough game. But Iowa coming to L.A., I think Iowa is a very different football team on the road. But, we'll get to all that. So, but this team proved, at least last night, that they truly can run the table. I truly believe that. Now, I don't think they can run the table. I don't think they can win in Eugene playing like they did last night. You can't start off that slow. Can't fall behind that much. Can't rely on a starting quarterback to get injured. There's still a lot of improvement. But to me, winning the way they won should have a lot of people very excited. So I'll wrap it up with this. AP poll drops. USC moves up to 20. So move up to 3 spots. I think I'll talk more on this probably tomorrow. Just kind of, some of the I've always said a little bit of the SEC bias, right, and what they do. And so yeah, I'll jump back on here tomorrow and do kind of a full college football roundup, like some of the repercussions from some of the other games, some of the other Big Ten games. I mean, Indiana is just a wagon. Indiana looks fantastic. Ohio State obviously very good. Those two programs are wagons. But just some of the other around college football and what it means, and USC 1000% can be a playoff team this year. So big win. Enjoy it. Back in the winning column, 6-2, 20th ranked USC Trojans. Let's see how this week of practice goes. I can't wait to be at the Collie this Friday. I feel like it's been forever. Only 2 games in October, and one of them was a road game. So it's good to get back in the Collie this weekend. So, but thank you everyone always for making this part of your day. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you have not already. Comment below your thoughts on the game, anything you're upset about, what you're excited about, what you want to see fixed, how you feel about the coaching staff. Just let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back tomorrow with plenty more coverage as always. So, and congrats, Dodgers. I mean, it was hilarious. At halftime, USC is down 14-6. Everyone on social wanted the entire coaching staff tarmacked. And the Dodgers were down 4-2. And everyone wanted to tarmac Dave Roberts and leave Mookie Betts in Canada. And then both teams end up winning. It ends up being a great sports day in LA. So that's the beauty of sports, right? That's why you play the full game. You play the full quarters, the full 9 innings or 11 innings. You play 3 periods in hockey because a lot can change on every play. So that's the only thing I'll say. I hopefully you guys agree. I never will tell fans how to be a fan. Like, be a fan however you want to be a fan. The only thing I would suggest is don't base your fandom on every series, right? Don't base it on every series. Don't base it on just one quarter. After the game, after a stretch, after the season, then do your real thing. But that's what I'm here for, to give analysis for, right? So, but I'd just say that, don't make your snap judgments on one series, 2 series. Let's see how the game plays out, because a lot can happen in those 4 quarters of football. So that's it for me. I'm Ryan Dyer. Thanks, family. Appreciate you as always. Fight on. Family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat that you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jade Mayav in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.